शुक्लां भरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु, सहनौ भुनक्तु, सह वीर्यं करवावहै, तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तः शान्तः शान्तिः। अगजानन पद्मार्कं गजाननमहर्निशम् अनेकदन्तं भक्तानाम् एकदन्तमुपास्महे। श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां श्रीहयग्रीवमुपास्महे। श्रीहयग्रीवमूर्तये नमः। सरस्वति नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। श्रीमहासरस्वत्यै नमः। उमाकोमलहस्ताब्जसम्भावितललाटकं हिरण्यकुण्डलं वन्दे कुमारं पुष्करस्रजं। வெற்றிவேல் முருகனுக்கு ஹரஹரோஹரா. லோகவீரியம் மகாபூஜ்யம் சர்வரக்ஷாகரம் விபும் பார்வதி ஹிருதயானந்தம் சாஸ்தாரம் பிரணமாம்யகம். சுவாமியே சரணமையப்பா. वागर्ताविव सम्पृक्तौ वागर्त प्रतिपत्तये जगतः पितरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ। श्रीपार्वती परमेश्वराभ्यां नमः। कोमलं पूजयन् वेणुं श्यामलोऽयं कुमारकः वेदवेद्यं परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। पीताम्बरं करविराजितचक्रशङ्खकौमोदकी सरसिजं करुणासमुद्रं राधासहायम् अतिसुन्दरमन्दहासं वातालयेशम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। कृष्णो रक्षतु मां चराचरगुरुः कृष्णं नमस्ये सदा। कृष्णेनैव सुरक्षितोऽहमसकृत् कृष्णाय दत्तं मनः। कृष्णादेव समुद्भवो मम विभो कृष्णस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम्। कृष्णे भक्तिरचञ्चलास्तु भगवन् हे कृष्ण तुभ्यं नमः। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं नम्राणां सन्निधत्ते सततमपि पुरस्तैरणभ्यर्थितानपि आर्तान् कामानजस्रं वितरति परमानन्दसान्द्रां गतिं च। इत्थं निःशेषलभ्यो निरवधिकफलः पारिजातो हरे त्वं क्षुद्रं तं शक्रवाटी ध्रुवमभिलषति व्यर्थमर्त्यव्रजोऽयम्। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं श्रीभट्टपादम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। वंशीविभूषितकरात् नवनीरदाभात् पीताम्बरात् अरुणबिम्बफलादरोष्टात् पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखात् अरविन्दनेत्रात् कृष्णात् परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने. കൈരണ്ടും കൂപ്പി ഞാൻ വീണ്ടുമീറക്കുന്നു നീരജലോചന നിന്നോടായി. ഏതീനു മഞ്ഞാനെ കുമ്പിടേണ്ടാത്തോരു രീതിയിൽ നീ എന്നെ പാലിക്കെന്നായി. കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ. Good morning, everyone. Okay, so I think today we'll have to do 59 and 60 we'll have to review, right? So sure, Viji, can you do 59 and Lakshmi Garu, can you do 60?
Sure, Rajesh. Dasakam 59, Venugana Varnanam. त्वद्वपूर्णवकलाय कोमलं प्रेमदोहनमशेषमोहनं ब्रह्मतत्त्वपरचिन्मुदात्मकं वीक्ष्य सम्मुहुरन्वहं स्त्रियः मन्मथोन्महितमानसाक्रमात् त्वद्विलोकनरतस्ततस्ततः गोपिकास्तवनसेहिरे हरे काननोपगतिमप्यहर्मुखे निर्गते भवति दत्तदृष्टयः त्वद्गतेन मनसा मृगेक्षणा वेणुनादमुपकर्ण्य दुरतः त्वद्विलासकथयाभिरेमिरे.
The first line end mrige kshanaha. There's a visarga, okay? First line, last word.
First
Manasa mrige kshanaha.
क्षणाः, okay, sorry. काननान्तमितवान् भवानपि स्निग्धपादपतले मनोरमे व्यत्ययाकलितपादमास्थितः प्रत्यपूरयत वेणुनालिकाम् मारभानदुतखेचरीकुलं निर्विकारपशुपक्षिमण्डलं द्रावणं च दृशदामपि प्रभो तावकं व्यजनि वेणुकूजितं वेणुरन्ध्रतरलाङ्गुलीदलं तालसञ्चिलतपादपल्लवम् तच्छितं तव परोक्षमप्यहो संविचिन्त्य मुमुहुर्व्रजान् गणाः.
Vijay, the first line, just a small, the stala sanchalita, the word. Stala sanchalita.
तालसञ्चलित, okay.
Yeah.
तालसञ्चलितपादपल्लवं तच्छितं तव परोक्षमप्यहो संविचिन्त्य मुमुहुर्व्रजान् गणाः निर्विशङ्कभवदङ्गदर्शिनीः केचरी खगमृगान् पशूनपि त्वत्पदप्रणयी काननं च ताः धन्यधन्यमिति नन्वमानयन् आपिबेयमदरामृतं कदा वेणुभुक्तरसशेषमेकदा दूरतोपतकृतं दुराशये त्याकुला मुहुरिमा समामुहन् प्रत्यहं च पुनरितमङ्गनास् चित्तयोनिजनितादनुग्रहात् बद्धरागविवशत्वयि प्रभो नित्यमापुरिह कृत्य मूदताम्.
The first line, pratyaham cha punar ittam. So double th sound comes. Ittam anganaha. First line mattam. Punarittam ittam. Punar ittam anganaha.
Okay. चित्तयोनिजनि पुनरित्तमङ्गनाः चित्तयोनिजनितादनुग्रहात् बद्धरागविवशत्वयि प्रभो नित्यमापुरिह कृत्यमूदताम्. Rajesh, for 10 the tune changes, right? Can you start me off with that?
Yeah. Ragastava jayate hi swabhavat.
Ragastava jayate hi swabhavan moksho.
Okay, keep moving. Let's take the 4-liner tune, but that's okay. Ragastava jayate hi swabhavat mokshopayo yatna tasya navasyat.
Ragastava hi swabhavan.
Keep going. Don't worry about the tune. Yeah, keep going. Yeah.
Okay. Mokshopayo yatna tasya syanavastyat तासां त्वेकं तद्वयं लब्धमासीत् भाग्यं पाहि मां मारुतेश. श्रीकृष्णाय परब्रह्मणे नमः.
Lakshmi Kamalaji, are you available to do 61?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Thank Krishna. Sorry, I wasn't in last class. I will try my best. Madanaturachetasuन्वहम् भवदङ्घ्रिद्वयधास्य काम्यया यमुनातटसीं निसैकतीं तरलाक्ष्यो गिरिजां समार्चिचन् तव नाम कथारतः समम् सुदृशप्रातरुपागता नदीम् उपहारशतैरपूजयन् दयितो नन्दसुतो भवेदिति इति मासमुपाहिता व्रताः तरलाक्षिरभिवीक्ष्यता भवान् करुणामृदुलो नदीतटम् समयासीत् तदनुग्रहेच्छया नियमावसितौ निजाम्बरम् तटसीमन्यवमुच्यतास्तदा यमुना जलखेलनाकुलाः पुरतस्त्वामवलोक्य लज्जिताः त्रपयानमितानवास्नास्वथो वनिता स्वम्बरजालमन्तिके निहितं परिगृह्य भूरुहो विटपं त्वं तरसाधिरूढवान् इह तावदुपेत्य नीयतां वसनं वसुदृशो यथायथम् इति नर्म मृदुस्मिते त्वयि ब्रुवतिं व्यामुमुहे वधूजनैः अयि जीवचिरं किशोर नस्तव दासीरवशीकरोषि किम् प्रदिशाम्बरमम्बुजेक्षणेत्युदितस्त्वं स्मितमेव दत्तवान्
First line that nas, right? That's kind of the halfway point, and it is a plus, right? So aiji vachiram kishora nastava dasira vashikaroshi
Oh, together.
Just
sorry.
at that point. Okay, anyway, I think we stopped at 7. So
अयि जीवचिरं
sorry, but keep going.
अयि जीवचिरं किशोर नस्तव दासीरवशीकरोषि किम् प्रदिशाम्बरमम्बुजेक्ष्यनुच्युदितस्त्वं स्मितमेव दत्तवान्
Okay. I think we just stopped at 7. We have to do 8 and 9. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, it didn't.
Yeah. All right. We are Narayanan, you can be student, and Preeti, you can be student. Stanza 8. Adiruhya tatam kritanjalihi parishuddha swagatirnireekshyatāh vasananyakilanyanugraham punarevam giramapyadhamudha. So we saw in the last class where the Gopikas were performing this Katyayani Vratam, right, in the Margari Masam, and then they had completed that 1 month on the last day where they were doing the snanam. They ended up getting into the water without their clothes on, which is not, you're not supposed to do that. So they are just having fun in the water because it was the last day that completed all of their vows. At that time, Krishna comes there and then he takes off all their clothes and he's sitting on the bark of the tree and he's telling them, if you want your clothes, you come and take it, right? And that's kind of where we left it. So, initially the girls think that, it's kidding, right? 7-year-old boy telling something. So they say, you know what, Krishna, just give our clothes. Why are you doing all this? They think he's kidding with them, but he doesn't. He stays. When the girls stay in the water for a really long time, now it starts getting cold because they want to come out, but they can't. And they're staying in the water for a while. So now it's beginning to get cold. So then they start realizing that this boy is not kidding. So they then tell, like, you are the son of Nandagopa. Nandagopa is like the kind of the ruler of the village, right? So they say you are like the king of the village's son, and we are all your dasis, we are all your servants. So, how can you do this? We listen to whatever you say, but give us our clothes. But Krishna doesn't, and then they say, okay, if you don't, then we'll go complain to your father. So then Krishna says, if you are my dasis, according to your logic, if you're going to listen to what I say, then I'm telling you all to come out and then pick up your clothes one by one. Or if you want to go tell to my father, go tell to my father. Now, how can they go tell? They have to first get out of the water to go tell, right? So anyway, they can't. So Krishna says, you have to do this. So the girls wait for a long time, and then they realize that Krishna is not kidding in this case; is very serious about it. And so the Krishna says very specifically, "I want you to all to come one by one, with your hand lifted, in that, with the Anjalihi, Krita Anjalihi, in the Anjali pose above your head, as if you're in a complete surrender mode, and then come out, and only then you're going to get your clothes, right? So this is so deeply spiritual, right? On the surface, you can look at it and says, Krishna is, a 7-year-old boy having fun, stealing clothes, and then tormenting these women, right? But that's not what this is, right? Because the Gopikas, like we said before, is they're all great Rishi Patnis and demigods Patnis who have taken incarnation because they all have the knowledge, they all have the jnana margam, they have attained enough knowledge, but they felt that they are lacking that devotion and that love towards Bhagavan. That was missing. So they've all taken these incarnations specifically for that purpose, so they can feel that love and devotion towards Bhagavan. So, like we spoke last time, the symbolism of the clothes here is like a barrier. It's like a false ego, right? Because we all always forget who the true self is, who the true soul is. We all think we are me, the person who I am. This is my skin, this is my gender, this is my characteristics. And our clothes define it even more, right? So, depending on the various places we go, we dress differently because we think the clothes define who we are, right? But it says, but and if we don't have clothes, we feel very shameful, and we feel we are not being modest enough. And so it's all associated with a materialistic life. But the true devotion is you completely surrender everything to Bhagavan, right? You cannot have any layer of separation between you and Bhagavan. So this whole Gopika surrendering this thing is the Gopikas on one end love Krishna, want to marry Krishna, although they're all small, they all want to marry Krishna and they all want to spend time with Krishna, but they still have a barrier between them. So Krishna says, if you have to attain true union with me, there should be absolutely no barrier between you and me, right? So I'm your best friend, I'm all of that. At the same time, the clothes are also a symbolism of that. So that was the importance thing here, where he says that you got to shed that layer and then come, right? So that's what the Gopikas end up doing. So they end up giving up the clothes and then they start coming in front. So Adiruhya Tatam Kritanjalihi, long E, comma, Parishuddhaha, put is Parishuddhas, Swagatir Nirikshataha, Vasanan Yakilan Yanugraham. So this one is Vasanani Akilani Anugraham. So 3 different words, but we cannot break it. So Vasanan Yakilan Yanugraham, comma, Punarevam Giram Apyada Muda. Adiruhya Tatankritanjalihi Parishuddha Swagatir Nirikshataha Vasananyakilanyanugraham Punarevam Giramapyadha Muda.
अधिरुह्य तटं कृताञ्जलिः परिशुद्धा स्वगतिर्निरीक्ष्यताः वसनान्यखिलान्यनुग्रहं पुनरेवं गिरमप्यदामुदा अधिरुह्य तटं कृताञ्जलिः परिशुद्धा स्वगतिर्निरीक्ष्यताः वसनान्यखिलान्यनुग्रहं पुनरेवं गिरमप्यदामुदा
अधिरुह्य तटं कृताञ्जलिः परिशुद्धा स्वगतिर्निरीक्ष्यताः वसनान्यखिलान्यनुग्रहं पुनरेवं गिरमप्यदामुदा अधिरुह्य तटं कृताञ्जलिः परिशुद्धा स्वगतिर्निरीक्ष्यताः वसनान्यखिलान्यनुग्रहं पुनरेवं गिरमप्यदामुदा.
Sansanai. Viditam nanuvo manishitam vaditarastviha yogyamuttaram yamuna puline sachandrikaha kshanadayitya bhalastvamūchivan. So finally, when the gopis did the full surrender to Krishna by coming out with absolutely nothing, and with their hand raised above their heads with the Anjali pose, and Krishna then gives them the clothes and says, I know what you have in your mind. And then, the union with me is going to happen on one moonlit night on the banks of Yamuna, which is a Rasa Krida, which is going to come much later. But he says, at that time, you will eventually get merged with me, or get liberated at that point. So with that, then they all then so I think next stanzas, that much, that's it. So they all then get their clothes, they all dress up, they listen to what Krishna is saying, that your wishes are going to get fulfilled, and they all go home. That's 9 and 10. Viditam nanuvo manishitam, comma, baditaras tviha yogyam uttaram. Just looking at the ma if you want. Yogyam uttaram. Yamuna puline sa chandrikaha, comma, shanada ityabalas twamuchivan. Viditam nanuvo manishitam vaditarastviha yogyam uttaram Yamuna puline sa chandrikaha kshanada ityabalas twamuchivan.
विदितं ननु वो मनीषितं वदितारस्त्विह योग्यमुत्तरं यमुना पुलिने सचन्द्रिकाः क्षणदायित्यबलास्त्वमुच्चिवान् विदितं ननु वो मनीषितं वदितारस्त्विह योग्यमुत्तरं यमुना पुलिने सचन्द्रिकाः क्षणदायित्यबलास्त्वमुचिवान्.
विदितं ननु वो मनीषितं वदितारस्त्विह योग्यमुत्तरं यमुना पुलिने सचन्द्रिकाः क्षणदायित्यबलास्त्वमुचिवान् विदितं ननु वो मनीषितं वदितारस्त्विह योग्यमुत्तरं यमुना पुलिने सचन्द्रिकाः क्षणदायित्यबलास्त्वमुचिवान्.
That's a 10. Upakarnya bhavan mukachyutam madhunishyandi vacho mrigidrishaha pranayadayi vikshya vadanabjam shanakair griham gataha. So whatever Krishna said was like madhu, was like nectar to their ears. And then the gopikas, they all got their clothes and then they went back home, Upakarnya bhavan mukachyutam, comma, Madhu nishyandi vacho mrigi drishaha pranayadayi vikshya te, and then put a plus, vadanabjam shanakair griham gataha. So that last line is a plus there. Upakarnya bhavan mukachyutam madhunishyandi vacho mrigi drishaha pranayadayi vikshya te vadanabjam shanakair griham gataha.
उपकर्ण्य भवन्मुखच्युतं मधुनिष्यन्ति वचो मृगीदृशः प्रणयादयि वीक्ष्य ते वदनाब्जं शनकैर्गृहं गताः उपकर्ण्य भवन्मुखच्युतं मधुनिष्यन्ति वचो मृगीदृशः प्रणयादयि वीक्ष्य ते वदनाब्जं शनकैर्गृहं गताः.
उपकर्ण्य भवन्मुखच्युतं मधुनिष्यन्ति वचो मृगीदृशः प्रणयादयि वीक्ष्य ते वदनाब्जं शनकैर्गृहं गताः उपकर्ण्य भवन्मुखच्युतं मधुनिष्यन्ति वचो मृगीदृशः प्रणयादयि वीक्ष्य ते वदनाब्जं शनकैर्गृहं गताः.
On the first line after Mukhachutam, there's a comma only. I think the second time when you were saying it, you tried to say it together. First, stanza 11. Iti nanvanugrihy vallavihi vipinanteshu pureva sancharan karuna shishiro hare haratvarayame sakala mahavalam. So with that, this comes to an end. So having blessed the Gopikas, really the lesson here is that if you want blessings from Bhagavan, you need to have that complete surrender. There's no option B, right? We cannot hide anything from God, right? If you think the God is all knowing, then you can't expect that I want to hide certain things and not hope that he doesn't know about it. It's not going to happen, right? He's going to know everything, obviously. And it has to be a complete surrender, which is the primary takeaway from this. So with then Krishna, who Karuna Shishiro, the one who is filled with compassion for everybody, please bless me also and eradicate all the ailments I have. Iti nanvanugrihya vallavihi, long E, put a visarga comma, vallavihi, comma. Next on top of the V, if there is a ir that goes away, vipinanteshu pureva sancharan, karuna shishiro hare hara, put a plus, tvaraya me sakala maya balim. Iti nanvanugrihya vallavihi vipinanteshu pureva sancharan, karuna shishiro hare hara tvaraya me sakala maya balim.
इति नन्वनुगृह्य वल्लवीः विपिनान्तेषु पुरेव सञ्चरन् करुणाशिशिरो हरे हर त्वरया मे सकलामया बलिम् इति नन्वनुगृह्य वल्लवीः विपिनान्तेषु पुरेव सञ्चरन् करुणाशिशिरो हरे हर त्वरया मे सकलामया बलिम्
इति नन्वनुगृह्य वल्लवीः विपिनान्तेषु पुरेव सञ्चरन् करुणाशिशिरो हरे हर त्वरया मे सकलामया बलिम् इति नन्वनुगृह्य वल्लवीः विपिनान्तेषु पुरेव सञ्चरन् करुणाशिशिरो हरे हर त्वरया मे सकलामया बलिम्.
Rajesh ji, and Vallavi, he, that he is also longer?
Yeah, because the Vallavi is a long one, the he also becomes long. So Vallavi he. Dasakam 61. Yajva Patni Uddharana Varnanam. Yajva, Yajna is a root word, is Yajna there, which is performing Yajnam. Yajva Patni means the wives of the Brahmins or the priest who perform the Yajnam. So Yajna Patni Uddharanam is blessing the wives of the priests who do the Yajnas. Stanza 1. Tatascha Vrindhavanatoti Durato Vanam Gatastvam Khalu Gopa Gokulaihi Hridantare Bhaktatara Dvijangana Kadambakanugrahana Graham Vahan. So another example that if you are truly devoted, then you don't have to go look for Krishna. Krishna will come looking for you. So here, outskirts of Vrindavan, there were another place somewhere in the outskirts of Vrindavan where there were a lot of other people women who had heard about Krishna, right? Like when I say this, I always remember now. I think somebody had asked sometime, why are only women liking Krishna? I said, if lot of cases, like when we say men are doing all these things, then they'll ask, why are men only doing it? Why are not women doing it? So it doesn't matter, right? At the end of the day, it's like, it's like somehow what energy attracts you, right? So I think in Krishna Avataram, the core concept is love and devotion and bhakti, which is what we are going to see, right? When you think of all the other things, then like a lot of places men do homams, right? So a lot of men worship Shiva because they end up doing homams, so which is not quite there with Krishna. So it's not an exact this is that, or this person has to only worship it, each one according to their own interest and energy. But that's one of the things we're going to see in this also. So sorry, Minu, you were saying something? Or?
Yeah, also my Bhagavad Gita Guru used to say the reason is all of us are women, only Purusha is Krishna. So that's also another thing.
Absolutely. And so again, it doesn't really matter. You can worship any god, anybody can be your favorite, right? No partiality. But I'm saying this because there was this group of women on the outskirts of Vrindavan who had heard everything about Krishna, but they have not had a chance to go see Krishna because their husbands were the priests and they were very strict. They wouldn't let them go out. And so they always were thinking, I keep hearing about this boy in Vrindavan who does all of this Leela. The people that absolutely adore him and love him, but they are not getting a chance to see. So one day Krishna decides with his friends and Balarama that, we are going to go to that corner of Vrindavan where these women are, right? Where they actually reside, and they all end up taking the cows and everything and go grazing to that part of Vrindavan that day. So here, Bhakta Thara. No, Bhaktas are devotees. Thara is like comparative in Sanskrit. So it says great devotees of yours. So this great Tama is the highest superlative, but the Tara is like the middle. So great devotees of yours who were there, you decided to go and give them a darshan this time. Tatascha Vrindavanatoti Durato. It's one long, you have to say it together. Vrindavanatoti Durato, comma. Vanam Gatastvam Khalu Gopa Gokulaihi Hridantare Bhaktatara Dvijangana, put a plus, Kadamba Kanu Grahana Graham. Again, that's also one long word. So Kadamba Kanu Grahana Graham Vahan. Tatascha Vrindavanato Tidurato Vanam Gatastvam Khalu Gopa Gokulaihi Hridantare Bhaktatara Dvijangana Kadambakanugrahana Graham Vahan.
Tatascha Vrindavanato Tidurato Vanam Gatastvam Kalugopa Gokulaihi Hridantare Bhaktatara Dvijangana Kadambakanu Grihana Griham Vahan.
And grass out. Grahana Graham Vahan.
Okay. Tatascha Vrindavanato Tidurato Vanam Gatastvam Khalu Gopa Gokulaihi Hridantare Bhaktatara Dvijangana Kadambakanu Grihana Griham Vahan.
Again, I'm hearing the gr sound. Grahana Graham Vahan.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
ततश्च बृन्दावनतोऽतिदूरतो वनं गतस्त्वं खलु कोपकोकुलैः हृदन्तरे भक्ततरद्विजाङ्गना कदम्बकानुग्रहणाग्रहं वहन् ततश्च बृन्दावनतोऽतिदूरतो वनं गतस्त्वं खलु कोपकोकुलैः हृदन्तरे भक्ततरद्विजाङ्गना कदम्बकानुग्रहणाग्रहं वहन्.
Preeti, first I'm hearing a ba sound. Brinda is Vrinda.
Oh, the Brundam potrukku.
Yeah, just change it to ba because, like I said, the ba is the colloquial version of it. The ba is the original sound.
Okay.
Rajesh,
Wherever it is ba, we should pronounce like a va.
Yeah, because the original word is, like I said, Vrinda refers to the Tulsi. So Vrindavanam is the forest of Tulsis. But
Okay.
in the north, the verb becomes ba, Braj becomes Braj. So,
in the
good.
Grahana, does it have anything to do with the eclipse?
இல்ல அனுகிரகம். So அந்த இடத்துல kadamba then anugraham. The last word is anugraha, agraham, desire for anugraham. So it's just like a sandhi which just joins all those words. Answer 2. Tatho niriksha sharane vanantare kishoralokam kshuditam trishakulam adurato yajnaparan dvijan prati vyasarjayodi diviyachanayatan. So they go to this far place and it becomes lunchtime. Everybody is getting tired, everybody is getting hungry and thirsty. And naturally they go to Krishna and say, Krishna, you are the one who got us to this completely such a far away place. Now we are all super hungry, so you ought to get us all some food. Krishna says, don't worry. I know this place here where there are some Dvijan. Dvijan means one who's born twice, which is all Brahmins. So all the one who has put a punar, right? So he says there are all these brahmanas who are actually sitting there. They're performing this big sacrifice called as Angirasa sacrifice. So that is to promote them to heaven. So they say you do this Angirasa sacrifice so many times, then you get enough blessings that you'll get promoted to heaven. So it says that sacrifice is going on, which means they have a lot of food to eat. They have a lot of offerings and things where you can go eat. So Krishna says you just go to them and then don't be shy. Just go tell them to get you some food. And if they refuse, then tell, no, our friends Krishna and Balarama from Vrindavan, they specifically requested to go there and ask for food and they will give you the food. So Krishna tells the boys to actually go there and ask for it. Tato nirikshya sharane vanantare, kishora lokam kshuditam trishakulam adurato yajnaparan dvijan prati, vyasarjayo didivi yachanayatan. So didivi specifically refers to cooked rice, because they would have made a lot of cooked rice, and everything ready to put it into the oven and for lunch afterwards. So he said you can go ask them. Tato nirikshya sharane vanantare kishoralokam kshuditam trishakulam adurato yajnaparan dvijan prati vyasarjayo diviyachanayatan.
ततो निरीक्ष्य शरणे वनान्तरे किशोरलोकं क्षुदितं त्रिशाकुलम् अदूरतो यज्ञपरान् द्विजान् प्रति व्यसर्जयोदिवियाचनायतान् ततो निरीक्ष्य शरणे वनान्तरे किशोरलोकं क्षुदितं त्रिशाकुलम् अदूरतो यज्ञपरान् द्विजान् प्रति व्यसर्जयोदिवियाचनायतान्
ततो निरीक्ष्याचरणे वनान्तरे किशोरलोकं क्षुधितं तृषाकुलम् अधूरतो यज्ञपरान् द्विजान् प्रति व्यसर्जयोदिति विव्याचनायतान् ततो निरीक्ष्य शरणे वनान्तरे किशोरलोकं क्षुधितं तृषाकुलम् अदूरतो यज्ञपरान् द्विजान् प्रति व्यसर्जयोदिति याचनायतान्
Diviyachanayatan.
व्यसर्जयोदिति याचनायतान्.
गतेष्वतो तेष्वभिधायते भिदां कुमारकेष्वोधनयाचिषु प्रभो श्रुतिस्थिरा अप्यभिनिन्युरश्रुतिं न किञ्चिदूचुश्च महीसुरोत्तमाः. So the boys go there, young boys, right? So they all go there, but they know the etiquette. So they go there and they first, offer namaskarams to the brahmanas and everything. They say, first the brahmanas have to acknowledge that you have come before even you go say anything. So they go wait patiently, but nobody cares for them because they're all busy doing the yajnam, right? So they wait for a long time and then they finally say, you know what, we have come here. And they say that, our friends Krishna and Balarama, we've all come from Vrindavan and then we're all very hungry. And we were told that we'll actually get some food here, right? Because everybody is hungry and thirsty and it'll be good if you can actually give us some food. So here, Bhattatripat says this very beautifully. He says, Shruti. Shruti refers to the Vedams, right? The Vedas, which is heard. See, the people who practice the Vedas, the Shruti, are ashrutim. So they are acting as if nothing falls on their ears, right? Because they're busy focusing on this yajna. And I don't mean to by any means say anything bad about this because I also do a lot of homams. I'm pure, no. So, but the point here was to say that all of these things, when you're doing, we are so focused on what we are doing, we miss the bigger picture of things, right? That's going to be the big takeaway from here. So they are so focused on doing this yajnam and homam that they refuse, they can't, whatever the boys are coming and asking also doesn't fall in their ears because they are so focused on doing it. And the boys also know that, if you're doing a homam, then you have to wait for Purnahuti, everything to be done before prasadam can be given. So they also say very clearly, we know not all food is available for us to eat right now, But if there's anything which has already been offered, so it's already done, can you please give that to us? Right? So there's no objection of saying that, nothing is done yet, right? So they very clearly ask, but the Brahmanas ignore them. And it's ashrutim, nothing, they don't hear anything, and the boys are just standing there, with nobody listening to them. Gateshvato teshvabhidaya te bidham, kumara keshvodana yachishu prabho shruti sthira apyabhinin yurashrutim. So that word you cannot break it. But like I said, the yurashrutim, it's yur and ashrutim are the two words there. So apyabhinin yurashrutim, na kinchidu chushcha. The du is a long u. Kinchidu chushcha mahisurottamaha, who are supposed to be uttamaha. So they're supposed to be great brahmanas, people who know what the principles of religion are, but they completely ignore the boys. Gateshvato teshvabhidayate bhidam kumarakeshvodhanayachishu prabho shrutistira apyabhinin yurashrutim nakinchiduchuscha mahisurottamaha.
Gateshvato teshvabhidayate bidham kumarakeshvodhanayachishu prabho Shrutistira apyabhinin yurashrutim nakinchiduchuscha mahisurottamaha gateshvato teshvabhidayate bidham kumarakeshvodhanayachishu prabho Shrutistira apyabhinin yurashrutim nakinchiduchuscha mahisurottamaha.
Gateshvato teshvabhidaya te bhitam kumarakeshvodhanayachishu prabho shrutistira apyabhinin yurashrutim nakinchiduchuscha mahisurottamaha gateshvato teshvabhidaya te bhidam kumarakeshvodhanayachishu prabho shrutistira apyabhinin yurashrutim nakinchiduchuscha mahisurottamaha.
Saxophone. Anadharat khinnadiyo hi balakaha samhayayuryuktamidam hi yajvasu chirada bhaktah khalute mahisuraha katam hi bhaktam tvaitai samarpyate. So within this people who do the rituals, people who follow the Vedas, there are two. One is called as something called as a mimasa. Mimasa means it is you understand God through through investigation, right? So it's a kind of, you question, ask why, who is the one who's actually doing it. There should be someone, and you kind of interrogate, and then you understand the original truth. That's called as a mimasa. So within that Mimamsa, there is a Purva Mimamsa, it's the early Mimamsa, and then Uttara, the later Mimamsa. The Purva Mimamsa category of people truly believed that you don't have to believe in somebody called as a god. So all you got to do is you got to do your rituals, which is I do my homam, I do my prayers, I do these things. And by doing it, naturally, there is something that's going to come back to you. Right? So it says, if I'm going to go do my homam 100 times, I don't have to believe in God, but the very act of me doing a homam and the act of me offering something is going to give me something back in return. That is how nature or universe is going to work. So I don't have to believe in a God to get something back, right? So that is the Purva Mimamsa, or where people used to do all these rituals and homams with a pure thing, saying, I'm going to do 100 Angiras of homams, I'm going to get promoted to heaven. I don't have to believe in God. I don't need to worship, right? That is the Purva Mimamsa. Then it later on became the Uttara Mimamsa, where they said, I'm still doing it, but I still have to believe there is a God. There's a devotion element which gets attached to it. So these people who are there are the Purva Mimamsa, who didn't believe in anybody like Bhagavan. They don't have to believe in it, right? That was kind of their sect, right? So that's why it says, Chirat Abhakta. So they were not devoted to you, Krishna. They're not bound by devotion. So when some person like this, when you're offering something to the homam, which is going to the gods, when the god himself is coming and saying, give me food, you get so blinded by the act that you are doing that you miss the bigger picture of why you are even doing something, right? Which is what was happening. So they're saying my duty is to do these rituals, which is what they were doing. So they never cared about, Krishna or Balarama, or not that they knew Krishna or Balarama were gods, but we'll see the difference later. But they just ignored everything else, because for them doing their duty was so principled that they ignored everything else. So anadarat khinnadiyo hi balakaha, samayayur yuktamidam hi yajvasu chirada bhaktaha, put a ih to join, chirada bhaktah khalu te mahisuraha, katham hi bhaktam tvayi taihi, put a is tvayi tais samarpyate. So he says, but how will they offer something to you when they don't believe in devotion? So naturally, they won't offer anything to you. Anadharat khinnadhiyo hi balakaha samhayayuryuktamidam hi yajvasu chirada bhaktah khalute mahisuraha katam hi bhaktam tvaitai samarpyate.
अनादरात् खिन्नधियो हि बालकाः समाययुर्युक्तमिदं हि यज्वसु चिरादभक्ताः खलु ते महीसुराः कथं हि भक्तं त्वयि तैः समर्प्यते. अनादरात् खिन्नधियो हि बालकाः समाययुर्युक्तमिदं हि यज्वसु चिरादभक्ताः खलु ते महीसुराः कथं हि भक्तं त्वयि तैः समर्प्यते.
अनादरात् खिन्नधियो हि बालकाः समाययुर्युक्तमिदं हि यज्वसु चिरादभक्ताः खलु ते महीसुराः कथं हि भक्तं त्वयि तैः समर्प्यते. अनादरात् खिन्नधियो हि बालकाः समाययुर्युक्तमिदं हि यज्वसु चिरादभक्ताः खलु ते महीसुराः कथं हि भक्तं त्वयि तैः समर्प्यते.
That's right. Nivedayadvam grihini janaya mam disheyorannam karunakula imaha iti smitardham bhavate ritagataha te dharakadara janam yayachire. So the boys come back very disappointed, saying, Krishna, you told me to go tell your name. The people didn't even care about me. They didn't even listen to what we had to say. So the boys are very disappointed. So Krishna says, that's okay. He says, go to the other side where the outhouses, right? Where the houses, because they're performing the yajna in the front. He says, go to the other side of that, where all these Yajva Patnis are there, where the wives of the people who are offering the sacrifices are there. They have prepared a lot of food. They are the ones who are preparing the food, right? The Brahmins are only offering it. So let's go to the source. So go to the people who are actually making the food and go tell them that Krishna and Balarama have come and we would like some food. And Krishna says, don't even tell them that we are hungry. Just say we have come and we would like some food, right? And then so the boys then go to the backside now, where the Yajva, where all the women are all sitting, waiting for the, helping to perform the homam, right? They're all sitting there with all the food. Nivedayadvam grihini janaya mam, disheyurannam karunakula imaha. He says, because the women are full of compassion, which is what was missing, right? He says, they will just, you'd say, boys are there, boys are come for food, the women will give food, right? By default. So karunakula imaha. Iti smitardram bhavaterita gataha, put a visarga comma, gataha. The next line is goes away. Te daraka darajanam yayachire. Nivedayadvam grihini janayamam disheyurannam karunakula imaha iti smitardram bhavaterita gataha te daraka darajanam yayachire.
निवेदयध्वं गृहिणी जनाय मां दिशेयुरन्नं करुणाकुला इमाः इति स्मितार्द्रं भवतेरिता गताः ते दारकादारजनं ययाचिरे निवेदयध्वं गृहिणी जनाय मां दिशेयुरन्नं करुणाकुला इमाः इति स्मितार्द्रं भवतेरिता गताः ते दारकादारजनं ययाचिरे
निवेदयध्वं गृहिणी जनाय मां दिशेयुरन्नं करुणाकुला इमाः इति स्मितार्द्रं भवतेरिता गताः ते दारकादारजनं ययाचिरे निवेदयध्वं गृहिणी जनाय मां दिशेयुरन्नं करुणाकुला इमाः इति स्मितार्द्रं भवतेरिता गताः ते दारकादारजनं ययाचिरे.
We'll switch halfway. Lalita, you can be a student, and Harini, you can be a student. Stanza 6. Grihitanamne tvayi sambhramakulah chaturvidham bhojya rasam pragrihyatah chiram dhritatvat pravilokanagraha swakair niruddha apiturnamaayayuhu. These boys go to the women and say, you know what, we are a bunch of boys who have actually come from Vrindavan, you know, we are with Krishna and Balarama, they're all waiting there and we would like some food. She says the moment the women heard that the boys want food and Krishna and Balarama have come, they're like, perfect, absolutely. They didn't even think twice. And then they packed 4 kinds of food. It talks about Chaturvidam. The 4 kinds of food are, you know, the one food which can be chewed, what you chew, then the one which is drunk, like payasam, which you can drink, then something which you have to lick, and something which is sucked. So there are 4 types of food which are there. So they pack all these 4 kinds of food and then immediately decide to go. So of course, when they want to go, the brahmanas are going to be like, you can't go, you know, because there's a homam going on, we need your help, or a lot of things that we offered. But the women do not respond to that because they know what they're going to meet, who they are going to meet, and they decide to go against the wishes of their husbands, and they all leave and then follow the boys. Grihita namni tvai sambhrama kulaha, put a visarga comma. Next, the ish goes away. Chaturvidham bhojya rasam pragrihya chiram dhrita tvat pravilokanagrahaha. That's one word. Pravilokanagrahaha, comma. Swakair niruddha api turnamayayuhu. Grihitanamni tvayi sambhramakulah chaturvidham bhojya rasam pragrihyatah chiram dhritatvat pravilokanagrahaha swakair niruddha api turnamayayuhu.
गृहीतनाम्नि त्वयि सम्भ्रमाकुलाः चतुर्विधं भोज्यरसं प्रगृह्यताः चिरं धृतत्वत्प्रविलोकनाग्रहाः स्वकैर्निरुद्धा अभितूर्णमाययुः गृहीतनाम्नि त्वयि सम्भ्रमाकुलाः चतुर्विधं भोज्यरसं प्रगृह्यताः चिरं धृतत्वत् प्रविलोकनाग्रहाः स्वकैर्निरुद्धा अभितूर्णमाययुः.
गृहीतनाम्नि त्वयि सम्भ्रमाकुलाः चतुर्विधं भोज्यरसं प्रगृह्यताः चिरं धृतत्वत्प्रविलोकनाग्रहाः स्वकैर्निरुद्धा अपि तूर्णमाययुः गृहीतनाम्नि त्वयि सम्भ्रमाकुलाः चतुर्विधं भोज्यरसं प्रगृह्यताः चिरं धृतत्वत् प्रविलोकनाग्रहाः स्वकैर्निरुद्धा अपि तूर्णमाययुः.
Stanza 7. बिलोलपिञ्चम् चिकुरे कपोलयोः समुल्लसत्कुण्डलमार्द्रमीक्षिते निदाय बाहुं सुहृदं ससीमनिस्थितं भवन्तं समलोकयन्तथाः. So when these women all approach the forest, like we saw in the Venugana Varnanam, everything Krishna does is in style. So they all approach and then they see underneath the tree, there is a boy standing who they've been earning to meet. He says this boy who was in dark gray, dark blue color, who's wearing a pitambaram, who is actually having a vanamali on his on his neck and his shoulders, and then he's resting one of his hands on his friend's. So he's kind of putting his arm over his friend's shoulder, standing cross-legged, and then smiling. So they see this beautiful face and this beautiful person standing in front of them, and this woman said, "We made the right decision of saying no to everybody else and coming, because this was that darshan they've all been earning to meet and wanting to meet Krishna, and they see Krishna standing there under the tree." So Bilola Pincham, Pincham is refers to the peacock feather. Bilola Pincham, Chikure Kapola Yoho, Samullasat Kundalam Ardram Ikshite. He says the Kundalam refers to the earrings. He says, Krishna, your cheeks are so smooth that the earrings are reflecting on your cheeks. Right? That's how smooth your cheeks are. So Samullasat Kundalam Ardram Ikshite. Nidaya Bahum, hands. Suhrudam sa Simani, put a plus. Sthitam Bhavantam Samaloka Yantataha. बिलोलपिञ्छं चिकुरे कपोलयोः समुल्लसत्कुण्डलमाद्रमीक्षिते. So third line, fourth line is a plus. I don't know if I said that. निधाय बाहुं सुहृदं ससीमनिस्थितं भवन्तं समलोकयन्तताः.
विलोलपिञ्छं चिकुरे कपोलयोः समुल्लसत्कुण्डलमार्द्रमीक्षिते निधाय बाहुं सुकृतं ससीमनि स्थितं भवन्तं समलोकयन्तताः.
The first line, sorry, Lalita, first in Kapola Yoho, adukapram there is a comma, okay? There's no plus.
Okay. Sir. विलोलपिञ्छं चिकुरे कपोलयोः समुल्लसत्कुण्डलमार्द्रमीक्षिते निधाय बाहुं सुकृतं ससीमनि स्थितं भवन्तं समलोकयन्तताः.
विलोलपिञ्चं चिकुरे कपोलयोः समुल्लसत्कुण्डलमाद्रमीक्षिते निधाय बाहुं सुहृदं ससीमनि स्थितं भवन्तं समलोकयन्तताः. विलोलपिञ्चं चिकुरे कपोलयोः समुल्लसत्कुण्डलमाद्रमीक्षिते निधाय बाहुं सुहृदं ससीमनि स्थितं भवन्तं समलोकयन्तताः.
That's it. Tadha chakachit tvadupagamodhyata grihita hastadayite nayajvana tadaiva sanchintya bhavantamanjasa vivesha kaivalyamaho kritinyasau. One second. So like you said, a lot of the women wanted to come, but their husbands were stopping them and forcing them, and a lot of them, everybody essentially came against the wishes, right? So there's a story about this one woman, and I don't know the detailed story, but Vijaya Veeraraghavan, she was telling some name at one point, I forget what it was. So she said there is this one woman whose husband forcefully held her back. So she could not leave at that time, right? She could not come to meet. And then it talks about how she was earning so much that she gave up her life because she felt like she was missing out, and all her friends were able to go and meet Krishna and she was not able to. And in that viragam, she ended up giving her life. Here, it's just briefly referred here. So Bhattacharya says she's most fortunate because she reached Krishna earlier than everybody else. So it is more than getting something. It is the, the pangs of not getting something, right? Missing something that is more deeper in your heart, which is what this woman was actually going through, and she ended up giving up her life. It says because of that, Bhavantam Anjasa, very easily, she then attained liberation with you. Tadacha Kachit Twadupagamodhyata, one word, Twadupagamodhyata, comma, Grihita Hasta Daitena Yajvana. So her husband forcefully with his hand held her back and did not let her go. Tadaiva Sanchintya Bhavantam Anjasa, comma, Vivesha Kaivalyamaho Kritinyasau. तथा च काचित् त्वदुपागमोध्यता गृहीतहस्तादयितेन यज्वना तदैव सञ्चिन्त्य भवन्तमञ्जसा विवेश कैवल्यमहो कृतिन्यसौ.
तदा च काचित् त्वदुपागमोद्यता गृहीत अस्तादयितेन यज्वना तदैव सञ्चिन्त्य भवन्तमञ्जसा विवेश कैवल्यमहो कृतिन्यसौ. तदा च काचित् त्वदुपागमोद्यता गृहीत हस्तादयितेन यज्वना तदैव सञ्चिन्त्य भवन्तमञ्जसा विवेश कैवल्यमहो कृतिन्यसौ.
तदा च काचित् त्वदुपागमोद्यता गृहीतहस्ता दयितेन यज्वना तदैव सञ्चिन्त्य भवन्तमञ्जसा विवेश कैवल्यमहो कृतिन्यसौ. तदा च काचित् त्वदुपागमोद्यता गृहीतहस्ता दयितेन यज्वना तदैव सञ्चिन्त्य भवन्तमञ्जसा विवेश कैवल्यमहो कृतिन्यसौ.
आधाय भोज्यान्यनुगृह्यताः पुनः त्वदङ्गसङ्गस्पृहयोज्झतीर्गृहम् विलोक्य यज्ञाय विसर्जयन्निमाः चकर्त भर्तॄन् पिता स्वगर्हणान्. So then the boys all ate the food that was actually the women had got there. And then Krishna then realizes that all these women have, opposed or against the blocking of their husbands, and everything still come there. So Krishna says, thanks, but you have to all go back because you all still have your duty, right? You still have your husbands, you have your kids, the yajnam has to be completed. You all are participating in it and helping finish it. So the right thing for you to do is go back. But then there's no one who has seen Bhagavan in person and then felt, I want to go back. They all feel like, once I've seen you, I know what bliss right now is. We don't want to go back, right? And they say, first of all, our husbands won't take us back. And number two is, after having spent time with you here, we also just want to be here. We don't want to go back at all, right? So Krishna says, okay, but that's not right. He says, I personally will come, right? And then Krishna, they all go back. And then there's a sudden jump here because it doesn't tell how the husbands realize. That's not said anywhere else. It's not said anywhere, even in Bhagavatam, but it just says that the husbands come to a realization. Don't know how, but the husbands come to a realization, and the next stanza tells it really well. But anyway, the husbands come to a realization, and then they take their wives back, right? And then the yajna continues then. Adhaya bhojyanyanugrihya. So it's bhojyani anugrihya, but that sandhi comes there. So bhojyanyanugrihya taha, put a f taf, punaha, put a visargan comma, punaha. Next line is goes away. Twadanga sanga sprihayoj jhatir griham bilokya yajnaya visarjayannimaha, put a visargan comma there, visarjayannimaha. Next line ish goes away. Chakarta bhartrnapi tasva garhanan. Adhaya bhojyanyanugrhyatah punaha twadanga sangasprihayojhatir griham bilokya yajnaya visarjayannimaha chakarta bhartrnapi tasva garhanan.
आदाय भोज्याननुगृह्यता पुनः त्वदङ्गसङ्गस्पृहयोज्य दीर्घृहं विलोक्य याय विसर्जयन्निमाः चकर्तभर्द्रून् अपि स्वगर्घनान् आदाय भोज्यान् अनुगृह्य ता पुनः त्वदङ्गसङ्गस्पृहयोज्य दीर्घृहं विलोक्य यज्ञाय विसर्जयन्निमाः चकर्तभर्द्रूनुपि Bardrun Apida Swagarghanan.
The first line, Lita, Bojyan Yanu. It's although it's Bojyani and Anugrihya, but then the Sandhi level the Ya sound comes. Bojyan Yanugrihya.
दाय भोज्यान् यनुगृह्यतः पुनः त्वदङ्गसङ्गस्पृहयोज्यति गृहं विलोक्य यज्ञाय विसर्जयन्निमाः चकर्त भर्तॄन्नपि तास्वगृहन्नान् तास्वगर्हणान् okay
yeah.
आदाय भोज्याय अनुगृह्यतः पुनः त्वदङ्गसङ्गस्पृहयोज्यति गृहं विलोक्य यज्ञाय विसर्जयन्निमाः चकर्त भर्तॄन्नपि तास्वगर्हणान्.
That's a 10. Nirupya dosham nijamangana vilokya bhaktim cha punarvicharibihi प्रबुद्ध तत्त्वैस्त्वमभिष्टुतो द्विजैः मरुत्पुराधीश निरुन्धि मे गधान्. So then the Brahmanas, they punar vicharibihi, after contemplating, they then realize the mistake that they had actually done, and they realize the true devotion that their wives actually had, and they say, what is the purpose of doing all this strict rituals and performing all of these things when you don't understand the true purpose? So they say, we are doing all these homams, we are doing it, we are following so strict procedures, but when the Bhagavan Swayam came and asked us for food, we couldn't give it, right? So he says, so all of doesn't mean none of this is bad. Everything is absolutely, you can do what you're doing, but you have to remember in the context of the devotion that you shouldn't get so deep into certain the procedures and principles that you forget the bigger picture of why you are doing it, which is devotion towards Bhagavan, and that should not be forgotten. So that is a lesson that the Yajva Patnis actually taught the Brahmanas, and then they also come to the realization. And then, that's why I said there was a Purva Mimamsa, and then there is a Uttara Mimamsa, where these things changed later of, doing all of these things with the context of devotion as well. So, Nirupya Dosham Nijam Anganajane, Vilokya Bhaktim cha Punar Vicharibihi Prabuddha Tattvais Tvamabhishtuto Dvijaihi Visargan, next is Ir on the top that goes away. Marutpuradhisha Nirundhi Me Gadan. Guruvarapa, please eradicate my ailments as well. Nirupya dosham nijamangana jane vilokya bhaktim cha punar vicharibihi prabuddha tattvaistomaabhishtuto dvijaihi marutpuradhisha nirundhi me gadan.
Nirupya dosham nijamangana jane vilokya bhaktim cha punarvicharibihi prabuddha tatvaistvam abhishtuto dvijaihi Marutpuradisha nirundi me gadan. Nirupya dosham nijamangana jane vilokya bhaktim cha punarvicharibihi prabuddha tatvaistvam abhishtuto dvijaihi Marutpuradisha nirundi me gadan.
And third line, last word, Dvijaihi.
Dvijaihi.
Yeah. I think second time you said something else. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Nirupya dosham nijamangana jane vilokya bhaktim cha punar vicharibihi prabuddha tattvaistomaabhishtuto dvijaihi marutpuradisha nirundi me gadan. Nirupya dosham nijamangana jane विलोक्य भक्तिं च पुनर्विचारिभिः प्रबुद्धतत्त्वै त्वमभिष्टुतो द्विजैः मरुत्पुराधीश निरुन्दिमे गदान्.
And the third line, Harini, tatvais is sound, okay?
Tatvais.
Yeah.
Tatvais.
Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. Okay, we'll go to 62. We'll do a few stanzas. So 62, 63, 64 is all kind of connected. One set of story. So 62 is Indra Yaga Vighata Varnanam. So blocking the sacrifice to Indra. That is 62. 63 is going to be lifting the Govardhana mountain. 64 is going to be Govinda Pattabhishekam. So those three things are all connected. So this one follows the four-liner tune. कदाचित् गोपालान् विहितमखसंभार विभवान् निरीक्ष्य त्वं शौरे मगवमदमुध्वंसितुमनाः बीजानन्नप्येतान् विनयमृदुनन्दादिपशुपान् अपृच्छः को वायं जनक भवतामुद्यम इति. So every year at certain time, all this, I mean, at the Vrindavan, they are doing it. Before that, they were praying in different ways. But in this case, like they decide that the Gopas decide to perform a sacrifice to Indra, which they do every year. And they were all preparing for that sacrifice, right? For that offerings, yajnam that they were going to do to Indra. So at that time, Krishna, this time, he goes very politely. He's a 7-8-year-old boy at this time, right? When the Govardhana lifting happened, he was 8. So he very gently goes, sometimes our kids come and ask, oh, why are you doing this? Doesn't make sense to me and all that. So you can ask questions, you can question everything, but you should ask it in a nice way. So Krishna is going to his father and asking in a very polite way, saying, I see you're performing all of these things. You're preparing to perform all of these things. Can you explain to me what is the purpose of this sacrifice? Who is it meant to satisfy? What do you get in return, right? And he says it's important that when you're doing something, you understand the context behind why you're doing something, then the effect is better, right? Then you truly are understanding why you're doing something. And then she genuinely goes and asks that question, help me understand, why are we doing all of these things? That's the question Krishna is asking Nanda Gopa and all of the others there who are preparing to do this Indra sacrifice. So, Kadachit Gopalan, Vihita Makha Sambhara Vibhavan, Nirikshya Tvam Shaure, Magava Madam Udhvamsitu Manaha. Breaking at the moon. Magava Madam Udhvamsitu Manaha. So, but Krishna, the another reason why you are asking is Maghava refers to Indra here. That Indra was swelling with pride. Madham, he was swelling with pride. So you also wanted to calm down Indra's pride. So because of the reason, so you know what was going to happen later. That's why you're going and asking this. Bijanan Napietan, Binaya Mridu Nandadi Pashupan, put a in and comma, Pashupan. Next, the Napricha becomes Apricha. Aprichaha, put a ich. Aprichah kovayam, Janaka bhavatam udhyama iti. And most of the lines will put a comma in the middle there. So, Kadachit gopalan vihita makhasambhara vibhavan nirikshya tvam shaure magava madamudhvam situmanaha bijanannapyetan Vinayamridunandadi Pashupan Aprichah Kovayam Janaka Bhavatamudhyama iti.
कदाचित् गोपालान् विहितमघसम्भारविभवान् निरीक्ष्य त्वं शौरे मघवमदं बुद्ध्वंसितुमनाः विजानन्नप्येदान् विनयमृदुनन्दादिपशुपान् अपृच्छः को वायं जनक भवतामुद्यम इति कदाचित् गोपालान् विहितमघसम्भारविभवान् निरीक्ष्य त्वं शौरे मघवमदं उद्ध्वंसितुमनाः विजानन्नप्येदान् विनयमृदुनन्दादिपशुपान् अपृच्छः को वायं जनक भवतामुद्यम इति
कदाचित् गोपालान् विहितमखसंभारविभवान् निरीक्षत्वं शौरे मघवमदम् उद्यवं सितुमनाः विजानप्येतान् विनयमृदुनन्दादिपशुपान् अपृच्छः को वायं जनक भवतामुद्यम इति.
Only 2 words. Second line le Magava Madam Udvam Situmanaha.
Udvam situmanaha.
And then third line, first word, Vijanan Napyethan.
Okay. कदाचित् गोपालान् विहितमखसंभारविभवान् निरीक्षत्वं शौरे मदवमदम् उद्यवं सितुमनाः
Udvam Situmanaha.
उद्वं सितुमनाः विजानन्नप्येतान् विनयमृदुनन्दादिपशुपान् अपृच्छः को वायं जनक भवतामुद्यम इति.
Rajesh ji, a question in the third line, Vijananan Nabhyate, double N.
Yeah, Vijanan, see, it's Vijanan, na in, nan, Appyetan, second word, but on the R, it becomes another double na. So the 3 nas there. Vijanan Appyetan.
Yeah, so you can say Vijanan Nabhye or Vijanan Abhye, and either one is fine.
Yeah, if you say it together fast, there will be no difference. Okay, it's the same thing. Stanza 2. Bhabhashe nandastvam sutananu vidheyo magavato makho varshe varshe sukayati sa varshe na prithivim nidham varshayattam nikilam upajibhyam mahitale visheshadasmakam trina salila jivya hi pashavaha. So Nandagopal gives a good explanation. He says, Indra controls rain. So the rain happens because each of the demigods has a response. Agni is responsible for fire. Indra is responsible for, and they all have their responsibilities. And Indra is a controller. Who are we? We are all essentially we survive on cows, right? We are cowherds. So for us to survive on cows, the cows have to eat grass. The cow have to sustain on things, and that will grow only when the rain comes. So without the rain doesn't come, then there's going to be no greenery. There's no going to be lush plants or anything. The cows cannot eat. So which means we cannot get milk, we cannot get curd, and we cannot survive, right? So for us, this is essential. So we have to go worship Indra. That's why every year we go offer all of these things to Indra. Different kinds of sacrifices we do to Indra. And in return, Indra blesses us with all the rain that is actually there. So this has been going on for several years as a sound tradition. And then, if you don't do it, then we feel that we're going to get the wrath or curse of Indra, because of which we will not get rain where we are, and we are all going to, suffer, right? So that's the explanation Nandagopal gives. Bhabhashe nandastvam suta nanu, Bhabhashe nandastvam, comma, Suta nanu vidheyo magavato, comma, makho varshe varshe, comma, sukhayati sa varshena prithivim. So the earth becomes happy when it rains. Nrinam varshayattam, comma, nikhilam upajivyam. I'm just breaking at the im. Nikhilam upajivyam mahitale, comma, visheshadasmakam, comma, Trina Salila. Some books may have Jiva. If you have Jiva, change it to Jivya. It means the same thing, but just for consistency. Jivya hi Pashavaha.
சாரி பேர் மறந்து போச்சு. எனக்கு இந்த ஃபர்ஸ்ட் லைன்ல விசர்க்கம் கொடுத்திருக்கா கடைசியில.
Some places Magavataha, that happens. In some places they write a Visarga, some places they put a O. It means the same thing. It's depending on what is coming next. So you can change it to Magavato just for consistency.
Okay.
Bhabhashe nandastvam sutananu vidheyo Magavato makho varshe varshe sukhayati sa varshe na prithivim nrinam varshayattam nikilam upajivyam mahitale visheshadasmakam Trinasalila Jivya hi Pashavaha.
बभाषे नन्दस्त्वां सुतननुविधेयो महवतः मखो वर्षे वर्षे सुकयति स वर्षेण पृथिवीं नृणां वर्षायत्तं निखिलम् उपजीव्यं महितले विशेषातस्माकं दृढसलिलजीव्या हि पशवः.
I'll turn the first line. Can you change it to Magavato so we can be consistent? In the first line. Last Magavato.
Oh, 1 second. Okay. पपाशे नन्दस्त्वां सुतननुविधेयो महवतो मखो वर्षे वर्षे सुकयति स वर्षेण पृथिवीं नृणां वर्षायत्तं निखिलम् उपजीव्यं महितले विशेषातस्माकं तृणसलिलजीव्या हि पशवः.
बभाषे नन्दस्त्वां सुतननुविधेयो मघवतो मखो वर्षे वर्षे सुखयति स वर्षेण पृथिवीं नृणां वर्षायत्तं निखिलमुपजीव्यं महितले विशेषादस्माकं तृणसलिलजीव्या हि पशवः. बभाषे नन्दस्त्वां सुतननुविधेयो मघवतो मखो वर्षे वर्षे सुखयति स वर्षेण पृथिवीं नृणां वर्षायत्तं निखिलमुपजीव्यं महितले विशेषादस्माकं तृणसलिलजीव्या हि पशवः.
Answer 3. Iti Shrutva Vacham Piturayi Bhavanaha Sarasam Dhige Tanno Satyam Magavajanita Vrishtiriti Yat Adrishtam Jivanam Srijati Khalu Vrishtim Samuchitam Maharanye Vrikshaha Kimiva Balimindraya Dadate. So Krishna very beautifully explains in the next 2 stanzas to all of these people what we all should follow. So he says that anybody who's incarnated in this earth, who's born in this earth, has karma. Whatever is going to happen to you is going to happen based on your karma. If it is not supposed to happen to you, it will not happen to you. That's the rule of karma. There's absolutely no exceptions. And if something happens to you, that means it's bound to happen to you no matter how many times you try to dodge that bullet, right? Because that's the karma you have to experience. So everybody gets actions according to their karma only. And he says nobody except Bhagavan can change that karma of that individual. Okay. So he says certain things, he says like rain, he says is the collective karma of the individuals of the region. There are certain things which are your individual karma. What you do, what I do, we get certain things in return. If there are certain things which are happening to a group of people together, it is a combination of the collective karmas of those people which are coming together and a certain incident is happening. He says, getting rain, not getting rain, all of these things are all the collective karma of the people in that region. He says, Indra cannot change it. Indra is an execution person. He's like a postman. He's supposed to come and do his job. He cannot decide not to give you a letter, or he's not the person who's sending you a letter or anything of that sort, right? So he's supposed to do certain job. He cannot decide whether somebody gets rain or somebody doesn't get rain or anything of that sort. He says none of this is correct. Your destiny is what determines what you're going to get, what you're not going to get. And he questions if praying to Indra is going to get you rain. He says, Maharanye Vrikshaha. He says, all the trees in the forest which survive on rain. Kimiva Balim Indraya Dhadate. What sacrifice, what bali do they offer Indra? The trees do not offer anything to Indra. The trees survive on water, right? The trees get water when it comes. So they don't offer any sacrifice to Indra. Why should we offer sacrifice to Indra? So Krishna says, Indra doesn't, you don't have to do any of those things. Yeah, go ahead, Minu.
I just remembered a Tirukural, Nallar Oruvar Ularel Avar Puruttu Ellarkum Piyum Mari. So if there's one good person, because of him, for everyone, the rain pours.
Yeah.
So it's also that பத்னிக்காக ஒரு தடவை மழை பெய்யும், அப்புறம் வேதம் சொல்ற பிராமணாளுக்காக ஒரு தடவை மழை பெய்யும், அப்புறம் வந்து தர்மம் எல்லாரும் பண்றா இல்லையா, மாதம் மும்மாரினாக்கா இதுதான். அதுக்காக தான் சொல்லியிருக்காரு. மாதம் மும்மாரி பெஞ்சாக்கா ஃப்ளட் அது இது இந்த நேச்சுரல் கலாமிட்டிஸ் எதுவும் we could avoid it.
Yeah. So it's at the end of the day, it's because of the beings and the collective karma of everybody. He says you don't have to go worship Indra to get rain, right? That is his duty. He will get it when it's supposed to happen. And the next one, Krishna will say what you need to do, but we'll see it in the next class. So here he says you don't have to worship Indra to get rain primarily, right? You can still worship Indra, but he says don't worship with the expectation of getting a rain. That's not necessary. Iti shrutva vacham piturayi, comma, bhavanaha sarasam, comma, dhige tanno satyam, comma, magava janita vrishtiriti yat adrishtam jivanam, comma, srijati khalu vrishtim samuchitam, comma, maharanye vrikshaha, comma, kimiva balim indraya dhadate. Iti shrutva vacham piturayi bhavanaha sarasam dhike tanno satyam magavajanita vrishtiriti yat adrishtam jivanam srijati khalu vrishtim samuchitam maharanye vrikshaha kimiva balimindraya dadate.
इति श्रुत्वा वाचं पितुरये भवानाः सरसं दिके तन्नो सत्यं मघवजनिता वृष्टिरिति यत् अदृष्टं जीवानां सृजति खलु वृष्टिं समुचितां महारण्ये वृक्षाः किम् इव बलिम् इन्द्राय ददते.
The first line la after piturayi the comma, because it's vacham piturayi have to come together. So after piturayi, and third line la after jivanam, comma.
Okay. Iti shrutva vacham piturayi bhavanaः सरसं दिगे तन्नो सत्यं मघवजनिता वृष्टिरिति यत् अदृष्टं जीवानां सृजति खलु वृष्टिं समुचितां महारण्ये वृक्षाः किम् इव बलिम् इन्द्राय ददते.
इति श्रुत्वा वाचं पितुरयि भवानाः सरसं दिगे तन्नो सत्यं मघवजनिता वृष्टिरिति यत् अदृष्टं जीवानां सृजति खलु वृष्टिं समुचितां महारण्ये वृक्षाः किमिव बलिमिन्द्राय ददते. इति श्रुत्वा वाचं पितुरयि भवानाः सरसं दिगे तन्नो सत्यं मघवजनिता वृष्टिरिति यत् अदृष्टं जीवानां सृजति खलु वृष्टिं समुचितां महारण्ये वृक्षाः किमिव बलिमिन्द्राय ददते.
Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. Of the class here today. Sandhanandhavabodhatmakamanupamitam kaladeshavadibhyam nirmuktam nityamuktam nigamashatasahasrena nirbhasyamanam aspashtam drishtamatre punarurupurushartatmakam brahmatattvam tattavadbhati sakshat gurupavanapure hanta भाग्यं जनानां कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि. Thank you everyone.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you.
See you next week.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.